Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Driving Fearlessly, the show in which we turn on the camera and talk about what it is that's going on. So what it is that's going on is Open Arms is running through my head because I heard Dolly Parton sing it with a tiny bit of Steve Perry. So her new album called Rockstar has 30 tracks, I think. 9 original numbers, I think. And every famous rock star who's ever lived, well, every famous rock star who's living, singing behind her. So it's a huge hit, I think. It's mainstream adored, I think. But of course, it's critical music, and people who like rock panned or criticized. And every single one of them says, I like Dolly, but she shouldn't be singing rock songs. Which is exactly why she didn't accept the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nomination, or I don't know if it was a nomination that you have to accept and then the voting, but she didn't accept it at first because she knows that she's not a rock star, and she used the title rock star tongue-in-cheek. But hey, if she sings 30 rock songs with 20 of the top rockers in the world, and if some of them become hits, maybe she now is a rock star from one album. She said that she recorded the album in its entirety before she contacted the famous people to sing backup for her. Well, that shows, because it is kind of like a Dolly Parton karaoke party rather than Dolly Parton trying to make original music. I don't know how to explain that exactly, because Dolly Parton singing rock songs is original, but it does seem like it's generally produced as opposed to produced to make something new. I don't know how to explain that. And perhaps that thought is not quite developed or quite valid. But there's something about it that does seem like the background is amateurish, or like the background is general, like for everyone, as opposed to for that particular blend of voices or something. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Dolly Parton has had such a long career, and I've heard so many of her songs that I've heard many overly produced songs, which I love, and then I've heard her just stand there a cappella, and I love that too. But there's something about the production that is a little different than a typical Dolly Parton album, in which she would do a rock song anyway. If you just look at a Dolly Parton album, she would write some songs. She would do a song that everybody knows that's a rock song, but do it in a country way. And she would do a few other things, and they have something to do with each other, and it makes an album. Whether it's a pop album or a bluegrass album. So she's been singing rock songs for a long time. She's just not been singing them in the rock style. She's been transferring them over to a country style. Like, I've been around for you, been up and down for you, but I just can't get any relief. So it's a rock song first, and then she dollifies it and turns it into a country song. But this is different. And I'm not sure I like it, but the phrase Open Arms, sung by Steve Perry and Dolly Parton, is echoing through my head for a day and a half. So there's something wonderful about it when they say, this house is so cold. But you know, when you're an old singer and your voice is don't use that cut, right? Just say, this house is so cold, right? Don't use the cut where you sound like, But anyway, it sounds good. A lot of it sounds good. A lot of it is amateurish. Her voice itself always sounds good. At 77 years old, she can still belt out those numbers. She's not like Whitney Houston, who hit 32 and couldn't sing high notes anymore, or Mariah Carey, who hit 45 and couldn't call in the dog with the whistle register anymore. You know, her voice and Diana Ross's voice at 77 and 80 or 79, whatever, it's pretty much just as good as ever. Pretty much. I don't know, it's hard to say. There's such a difference between Diana Ross singing with the Supremes and that little chirpy, sophisticated girl goes to town voice versus her disco queen voice. It's hard to say. They both had really long careers. Their voices sound good, even though they're in their 70s. But that's not why I'm making this video. I shouldn't make this video, but I should make this video. When a person is in the public eye, they are asking for a little criticism, minimum, a little. Dolly Parton has explained her life story so many times over 50 years, 60 years, that she's been in the public eye, that I've heard her tell her story, and I've heard other people tell her story so many times. I've been to Dollywood. I did 9 to 5 as a musical. I listened to tons of Dolly. She just told this little talk show couple, I don't know if they're a talk show couple, a podcast couple, in the rounds for rock star promotion and the promotion of her new autobiography, My Life in Rhinestones, or something like that. She stopped by and talked to this couple, and she told them that she didn't have to sleep her way to the top. She only slept with the people she wanted to sleep with. Well, the story is that she met her husband the day she moved to Nashville at the laundromat. Now, I don't know if that makes sense, because who needs to wash clothes the first day they move somewhere? Maybe she met her husband the first week at the laundromat. I don't remember for sure, but the story in my head is she met her husband the first day she moved to Nashville, which was the first day after graduation of high school. She promised her dad, who couldn't read but was brilliantly smart, that she would graduate from high school, and she did, and she went to Nashville the next day, and she met her husband that next day, I guess. That's the story as I remember it. It's a good story, right? The rest of the story is that previous to that, she had to wear rags sometimes. She wanted new clothes, she wanted makeup, she couldn't afford that stuff, at least not as much as she wanted, as often as she wanted. So she learned to be self-reliant and self-resilient and you know, coat of many colors it up to the top, because if you love yourself, you don't have to be rich. And are we rich folks living in a poor folks town, or aren't we great? Even though we're poor, we're so happy. Even though we have no money, all we got is love. You know, these 15 kids, or I don't know, 13 kids, whatever. You know, 15 living and 10 of them died as infants, whatever. So the story is that they're so happy but they don't have any money. She goes to town. She sees the bottle bleach blonde who's the trash, and she wants to look like her, and so she dresses like that for the rest of her life. As soon as she's able, as soon as she's not a kid, as soon as she's not 10 or whatever, and she can buy her own clothes and she can be in charge of her image and whatever, she's dressed like a trash ever since. That's the story. Are you telling me that she only slept with the people she wanted to sleep with? She's been living like trash this whole time? Trash? So what does that mean? You go to town, you see the lady who dresses like trash. Does that mean that she was the woman that every man paid to sleep with? And it was okay for the men to do it, but it wasn't okay for the woman to do it? Is that what that means? And Dolly thought, well, if the woman can do it, and if the man can do it with no repercussions, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I'm going to sleep with whoever I want to sleep with. Is that what she's saying? Is that what she did? First of all, we must understand about celebrities that we don't have any idea what the truth is. But I do have a very good idea of what the story is that she's told for 55 years. Because I've heard it over and over and over and over and over and over.